Right, so the front was all about cones. This is about pyramids, which is really the same kind of shape where it comes to a point, except the base is going to be a square instead of a circle. So the formulas actually look kind of similar. The volume of a pyramid is 1/3 capital B times H. And I'm going to start calling that big B because there's a capital B and a lowercase b. I'm going to call that big B and little b. So this formula actually looks way more complicated than it is. That capital B is really just length times width because it's the area of the base. That capital B, or big B, stands for area of the base. It does stand for base, but it's really the area of that base, and that's really just length times width. And when I say that, I mean for the bottom, the length and the width of what's going to just be a square for now. But it could also be a rectangle, it could be a triangle, it could be really any shape. But for right now, it's just going to be a square where we're going to do length times width. That's going to tell us that capital B. The H is still the straight up and down height. It's going from the peak down to the center of the pyramid. That's our H. The area of the square on the bottom is that big B. Okay. We don't use the straight up and down height for surface area. Actually, that's 1/2 LP plus capital B again, big B.
Wait, I thought that was supposed to... Oh, no.
So, this L is the slant height. It's not the straight up and down height. It's the height that goes along the triangle. That slope side, that's our L. That's called the slant height. The P stands for the perimeter, still talking about the base. It's really the four sides of that square on the bottom added together. So P here stands for perimeter. And even more specifically, it stands for perimeter of the base. It's the four sides of the base added together. Really, that's all it is. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides put together. Capital B is still the same thing. That's just length times width.
So with the slant?
Not with the slant height. Still talking about just the bottom. That's still talking about the area of just the shape on the bottom. Okay? The shape of the base for these will all be the same. When you get to geometry, it changes to triangles, rectangles, and really it can be anything you want. But for right now, it's always going to be a square, which is why it's length times width. Or you can do S squared, actually doesn't do something. Solving for that B means we're finding the area, which is length times width. When I say length times width, I really just mean the two sides of that square. For perimeter, you could use the formula, so you could use P equals 4S. But even that's, I think, overthinking it. Really, it's just the four sides added together. You just add the sides. So it's kind of the same thing that we did before. Sometimes you need to find things before you can just plug into the formula. It's not just given directly to you. Sometimes everything that you need is actually just given in the problem. So we're trying to find the volume. Again, you really need to think about what do I need to solve this before you just jump into solving it. Volume is 1/3 times big B times H. What is the big B here? Yeah. What is it though? So area of the square. What is that? What's the area of that square on the bottom? Yeah, it's just 64. It's really just 8 times 8. Anyone not seeing where that 64 is coming from? Area of the bottom, the area of the square is just length times width, which is 64. What is the height, the straight up and down height?
9 inches.
Yep, it's just 9 inches. You're right. It's just 9. We don't use the 9.8 at all for the volume. It's just 9. The 9.8 is going to be the slant plane. And now we basically have everything that we need. Volume equals 1/3 times 64 times 9. And we multiply those three together. Don't round that 1/3. Keep it as 1 divided by 3. Keep it in your calculator, and then just do times 64 times 9. It should give you a whole number.
192.
192. Edgar, what are the units of that?
Volume.
That's the label. Inches cubed. Thank you, Brendan. Inches cubed.
That's weird.
Yeah, because we're actually talking about 192 little cubes that can fit inside that pyramid. They get cut off, but there's 192 that can actually squeeze inside of there.
So it could really be decimal.
It could be decimal, yeah. Like, the parts could be a decimal. This ends up that 192 whole cubes would fit inside there. Alright, now we're looking at surface area. So we're talking about 1/2 LP plus B. Well, we already have the B. We just found that. That's still 64. That didn't change at all. That part is still 8 times 8. What about these other parts? What's the L there? Yep, that's 9.8. It's the slope of that triangle. That's the 9.8. Actually, we're not even using 9 at all for this. For surface area, we don't need that. We just use 9.8. And what about P there? What is it, Maggie? Yep. It's just adding up the 4 sides. 8 plus 8, and then there's a 8 on the side there, and another 8 in the back. That's 32 altogether.
What about cylinder?
Perimeter of the base of the square on the bottom. Just adding up all the sides plus the bottom. And now we can plug in everything. 1/2 times L times 32 plus 64. Make sure you follow order of operations. So we're going to multiply all the stuff here first, and then add in that 64. What do we get from that first part without the 64? Yeah, 1 divided by 2 times 9.8 times 32. What do you get from just that part?
184.
Well, it's
200 plus 20.
just this part. Oh, this is 20. 9.8.
Yeah. Okay.
56.8.
For like multiplying what happened, you get 4.9
Yeah.
times 32, you get 156.
Plus 64.
That would be
Now we're adding those.
200.
220.
Yep, that's 220.20. Edgar, what are the units for that?
It is
Inches.
cube.
Nope, that's for volume.
Oh, square.
Yeah, it's square.
I was getting my crap.
That's literally talking about the number of squares that can cover that shape. Any questions before you just do this on your own?
Oh god.
I'm supposed to be from
You're going to. I'm going to set this one up a little bit for you. We're trying to find the volume. Okay, so we know it's going to be 1/3 big B times H. Big B you should be able to find.
But
That H, that's supposed to be H, we don't have that right now.
yes.
Okay, we need this dotted line in the middle. We don't have that. We have the slant line. We have this sloped line here, and we have the bottom of that triangle.
So we have to divide 25.
Yep, you do. This right triangle, we don't know the height yet. We know that the sloped line is 11.5. And Darren, what is that? What's the base there?
Oh, Okay, it's not,
What is it, Brennan?
It's
Just this side of the triangle.
it's 345.
Mhm.
Because you were asking me for what's H, and I was like,
Oh, no, sorry, I meant what's the base of the triangle.
okay.
So the 7 goes all the way across the line. That's going all the way across, but that's not the bottom of the triangle. The bottom of the triangle is only half of that. So we're using 3.5. Now we have to use Pythagorean theorem to find that h. You're using a squared plus b squared equals c squared to find that. It's not your c. You're not looking for c on this one. You can call it a or b. It really doesn't matter which one's which. But you're not looking for c. We have the c, which is 11.5. I'm going to call it b. 3.5 will be my a. And I don't know b yet. That's what you're going to find so that you can plug it in to that h.